Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. We are going to talk of primarily respiration, oxygen, and its use in the physical body. My mission, the impeccable wisdom, knowing which everything is fully known. My greatest discovery is Divyank, the divine design of nature, which is the perfect objects are designed and created. This is conscientious effort of 60 years of integrated education, which has brought me to impeccable wisdom. Now, the prime function of every human life is to have a perfect physical health without any disease at all, the perfect emotional stability, vairagya, the material wealth and prosperity to the extent that we don't have to borrow, beg, and steal, the right education, knowledge, abundance of impeccable wisdom, love for everyone in the world, and think that we are all part of the universal family of human conscious or human sapiens, and genuine commitment to the social health to take care everybody to together to the world is peaceful and spiritual evolution and enlightenment for each and every one. These are the objective, and in that context, last we talked about glucose, water, electrolytes, which are essential for homeostasis to maintain physical health. Oxygen is very, very important, and for that is a respiratory system designed, and of course pranayama is also designed to make it better. We are going to focus primarily in this about oxygen, formation of oxygen, uses of oxygen, medium of oxygen, and its requirement to be a perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy human being. Now come to the question, we invariably fail to achieve even disease-free life. Why? Because the ignorance and inertia I've been saying again and again. So as a result, we know the right education of every aspect of human anatomy, physiology, biochemistry and psychology, and as many subjects as possible, and know all the 64 arts to be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. Now let me start, because the kind of students which come to me, I find they have not been given the kind of information which is required, and I think we should write a new syllabus which is perfect from day one to the last. So pranayama means the art of breathing. Without right breathing, we will be dead and gone. Brain cannot function without oxygen even for 3 minutes. That is essential part. An honest question is, do skill teach us the perfect art of breathing? And I'm saying, sorry. Even the exchange of gases, when I ask a student, they say, do not exchange all the gases. They say, we exchange all the gases, which is not true. And right answer is, respiratory system is designed to take oxygen from the atmosphere and then expel 61.803% of carbon dioxide. 38.19 is maintained for synthesis of hydrochloric acid in the body, and of course we also alkaline medium in pancreas. Now comes to the respiratory system is made of this particular design. I will not go into detail. Respiration system starts with the two nostrils, nasal cavity, nasopharynx, oropharynx, and then gets to the larynx, and then you have all the trachea, bronchi, bronchioles and other things going up to this. And this particular whole system, one by one, is designed with Divyank ratio only. That's it. Second thing is, let's say partial pressure oxygen at sea level in Chennai is 160 millimeter of mercury, and that oxygen is taken, absorbed, and partial pressure of alveoli is 100. The ratio of 160 by 100 is again Divyank ratio only, and this particular part is called ventilation, and second thing is gas exchange, and then is carried to the blood and taken to all the cells in the body. When oxygen is used by the cells, they produce carbon dioxide from glucose and water and release the carbon dioxide, which comes to the venous tank back to the heart, and from there it is expelled out. Oxygen is taken and carbon dioxide, as I told you, is 61.8034%, which is expelled. Remaining is maintained for pH balance of acidity as well as alkaline nature. That is something which we should have very clear for every child to understand. And this is written for everyone from school, college to the university. Now, respiratory system also has got certain defense mechanism which also play a very important role in homeostasis. The first role which comes to my mind is body defense mechanism. It protects us from all the external things. It's able to filter out different parts in the nasal cavity to nasal alveoli to things and thrown out, and different systems are given in the nose, nasopharynx, as well as bronchia, trachea and alveoli to throw out all unwanted things. And all the filtration of foreign matter also takes place. Here in the nostrils are 10 microns. They help in throwing through sneezing. Bronchia 2 to 10 micrograms, we cough it out. Bronchio less than 2 microns, we have the diffusion. Then defense against bacteria is also the tonsils and adenoids are designed to take care of infection part. Then you have surfactant, metabolic functions, regulation of body temperature, regulation of blood volume, fibrinolytic functions, regulation of body water fluids, speech and regulation, body pH acid-base balance is done, olfaction is done. Olfaction influences the taste sensation also is clear in the last as well as this, and of course it has also a very big role in sexual behavior because phenoms in the perineum region are associated with smell again. Then come to the question, respiratory system works on two systems, bucket and ball. And you can see when we breathe in, the whole thing goes up and then expansion takes place. And this picture is beautifully explains how these two concepts help us do the inspiration, create a negative pressure so that oxygen can get inside and then it's exchanged one by one. And that is what it is all about. Now the question of Divyank design, as I told you, is designed with Divyank rule. We have spoken about say sea level, 160, alveolar level and concentration, and all the design in the brain is also designed with Divyank to make sure that we follow that system one by one without any difficulty at all. Now in this particular picture also I make it very clear that cardiopulmonary resuscitation, that breathing as such, as seen in the first picture called mouth to mouth breathing or lip of Kais, does not work because blood is not circulating. Unless until blood is circulating, oxygen will not go to them. So this has been ruled out and very clear. But raising the legs and bringing venous blood back to the heart and restarting the heart is much easier because SA node, the conducting system which I talk about it in heart, is placed in the opening where superior vena cava, inferior vena cava open, and partial pressure is the stimulus for SA node. This is also something which need to be taken note of. By doing this, we are most probably going to make the person revive again. Then of course other process of heart to heart pressing or nodes different can be done. But this is again something which we should teach clearly. Then when this oxygen is collected from atmosphere to the lungs, it is passed on to the blood. So the now prime function of blood is important because oxygen has to be carried. How it's carried, let us see that. Now definition of blood, as I've been saying, we should have a clear concept because they are all related subjects. Blood is a highly specialized red heterogeneous fluid which circulates the cardiovascular system. It is red, highly specialized heterogeneous blood. It is not an ordinary fluid but a connective tissue where intercellular substance is an aqueous solution, are crystallized and colloid called the plasma. Unlike other connective tissues where there is no connectivity or interconnection between cells of the tissue, the cells can move and swim in the blood as freely as they want, whether it's red blood cells, lymphocytes, you have leukocytes, you have platelets, and all other things also move freely. It's heterogeneous. Blood is the divine seat of life or homeostasis. Everything required for 100 trillion cells of the human body reach the cells through the blood only. Efficient transport system with the heart and vessels make blood very efficient for making biological life very, very effective, along with oxygen and other ingredients for homeostasis. This is the kind of definition which I want every child, every student, every researcher, every teacher, every professor to give it to everybody, bring uniformity. Now the consider composition of that is also something which we need to know very clearly. An anticoagulated blood, when settles down in an empty vessel, settles down as a concentrated solution of 45% and concentrated fluid of 55%. And this is what has to be done, and I think this is very clear. You can see the plasma on top, red blood cells, and also the layer of white cells of leukocytes and platelets. This is also should be perfect, as such is required. Now plasma proteins also play a very important role, and I can tell you plasma protein have 91% water and solids are 9%. And out of 9% solid, inorganic matter is 1%, organic matter is 8%, and blood contains iron and small molecules. Most capillaries are impermeable to plasma protein. Resulting differences in protein between the plasma and interstitial fluid create a colloid pressure called oncotic pressure. This is absolutely essential to maintain blood pressure. Osmotic pressure, oncotic pressure, protein pressure plays very important role in blood pressure to maintain it to a healthy ratio of 120 mm of systolic divided by 74 of diastolic and mean arterial blood pressure of 93. If that is maintained, we can be very healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. So osmotic blood pressure represents the percentage osmotically relevant pressure created by the osmotically active particle within it. And this is also a definition which I want everybody to have very clear. They are osmotically active. And those things which we include, and the proteins have an important role in that particular concept. Then comes the major inorganic matter like sodium, potassium, calcium, bicarbonate, magnesium, copper, phosphor, proteins, all that have been ferrous and ferric concentration, all have been described. If these are within normal limits, I can tell you we can be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. The right concentration is essential for normal physiological function of the body called homeostasis. Total organic matter is 8%, as I told you. Plasma protein is 7%. Albumin and globulin ratio is in Divyank ratio. If albumin is 4 gram, globulin can be 2.4 grams. If you can maintain 6.4 of albumin globulin, 4 of albumin, 2.4 of globulin, you are perfectly healthy. Fibrinogen and prothrombin are other things which are to be included in organic molecules. Non-protein nitrous substance are 1%. 7% of this, 1% of that is urea, uric acid, creatinine and other enzymes like sugar, fats, enzymes and hormones. Neutral fat triglyceride, phospholipid, glucose, cholesterol, bile and bile salts and bilirubin is also the part of organic matter which everyone should have detailed knowledge if you want to be a perfectly normal student by and large. Then come to let's talk of the prime functions of blood. First and foremost comes is the transport of oxygen from atmosphere to the blood and then carbon dioxide from blood to the atmosphere. That's the first thing which comes to my mind. Second, nutrition from digestive system is also carried in blood. I told you digestive system is important for homeostasis. That's why it's given 7th level of nervous system. Its own pacemakers. Similarly, from there it is brought to the blood and blood carries it to the system as far as nutrition is concerned, which is assimilated as such to be used with the help of liver. Then you have excretory system, kidneys and skin also expel it out. Blood helps that. Regulation or transport of hormones is also done by blood. Homeostatic function by blood. Storage function by blood. Protection like neutrophils, monocytes, endophils for detoxification, disintegration is also part of the blood. Immune system, antibiotic mediated immunity, cell mediated immunity is also part of the blood itself. You have lymphocytes, T cells as well as B cells. Once they are understood, immunity can be very good. Then you have regulation of body temperature, because water content in the blood is able to transfer from one to other side, because water specific gravity is good, heat conductivity is good, high level of heat evaporation is there, and once you sweat it out, body cools down. So that is also something which I have explained, is also very clearly this function of blood, and these are the things are going to make us perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy human beings who can do wonders in life. Then evolution of blood. Let me tell you how we evolved. Unicellular organisms get their need from the water. All things started in warm waters of primordial ocean. Then all the requirement came from the ocean. After expulsion was thrown into ocean is the first starting point of cellular organisms. Then multicellular organisms get through the blood. Now we can't go to the sea to get and throw. So sea was brought into us in the form of extracellular fluid. Food, water, electrolytes from the extracellular fluid. Rest are excreted to internal environment. Elemental needs of each cells from the fluid are got after producing energy for the body, and then expulsion is done into the extracellular fluid again. So extracellular fluid concentration is exactly what would have been primordial ocean concentration to start with. Myriad, most primitive multicellular types. The first attempt was an open eye one. Higher form evolved and became closed in the form, ends were there. Then cells became packed together, vessels became blood vessels. They are called environment. Similarly, between ancient primordial ocean and the extracellular fluid was identical, as I have told you. Sea water today is fairly different from sea because there is too much of salt and concentration. I can understand. Everything is flown into sea. Something remain and only water goes up. So concentration is increasing, I agree. So but extracellular fluid is maintained fully. Hence the evolution has helped us to maintain perfect homeostasis all the time. That's the reason evolution of blood has made human beings live very comfortably for centuries and centuries, decades and decades and millions and millions, and primarily because of the blood concentration being maintained. Now to come to the question of erythropoiesis, the formation of red blood cells. And I am very clear when we are talking of Divyank, the example of erythropoiesis, the formation of red blood cell cannot be ruled out, because that's the only example which gives us the perfect design of Divyank in a formation within the physical body. Because blood is formed in abundance quality, its moment is produced and can be easily collected and studied in detail, which is not possible in other cells. So that way erythropoiesis, the formation of red blood cell, is very important part for anybody and everybody to understand human body completely. Now the question of red blood cell formation. As the child is growing, first it gets from yolk cells. Then of course intrauterine red cells, its formation is there. First stage is mesoblastic stage. Nucleated RBCs are, to start with, it's a nucleated RBCs. They are not non-nucleated to start with, the first stage. Then mesoderm yolk cell is the intravascular erythropoiesis. That is to be understood as we go in the beginning part. Second stage is hepatic stage, is again nucleated red blood cells. Then mesenchymal cells, blood vessels and tissues play an important role. Then come to the third stage, myeloid stage, which are non-nucleated red blood cells. They are also produced in the liver and bone marrow. So that is the third stage. The adult phase, as we come to that stage, is a myeloid only, not liver. Non-nucleated, no nucleus at all. Nucleus is replaced by hemoglobin. And from peripheral, they come to the axial bone marrow, and how things go up. This is also evolution, we should keep it in mind. There are 4 stages to make us perfect being, and the picture makes it very clear what happens during fetus life and what happens during adult life. Once these stages are understood, I think we can make optimum use of life because without blood we cannot live. There 5 liters of blood has to be there. Even if we lose up to 1 liter, we can recover. But if you lose more than 1 liter, negative feedback goes to positive feedback and chances are we're going to die. So blood, oxygen, glucose and all the nutrition should be well taken care of. So the perfect knowledge is absolutely essential for everyone to remember this is how it is done. Now they come to question of red cell formation, and I can tell you the process of formation and maturation of the red blood cell is called erythropoiesis. Now let's talk the different stages of erythropoiesis. First is the proliferation, differentiation, maturation, release, functional red blood cells, senile red blood cells, killing in 120 days. They are formed in 21 days, live for 120 days and they get killed. They come back to bone marrow again and more zinc comes. There is a bone marrow where erythropoiesis takes place. Liver and spleen plays extracellular erythropoiesis. There are 10 stages which we are going to talk about it, which are 10 stages of development of Divyank itself. Now let's talk of the first stage of creation of red blood cells. As you can see, the structures which are pluripotent or totipotent are germ cells, and very interesting, the germ cell is large, 21 micron size, 21 micron. It is not by coincidence. I am not talking of the defective model. I am talking of the perfect model is 21 microns only, and the shape is irregular basophilic cytoplasm. That means shape is irregular, you can see irregular, and it is blue color. Cytoplasm is blue color. That is something which has to be kept in mind. Then proliferation to reproduce extensively. They produce phenomenal. Even 1 millimeter base contains millions and millions of cells, and that has to be kept in mind. Can form any type of the blood cells from prototype. It can be red blood cells, it can be leukocytes, and of course platelets. And for any original number remains intact. For future cell formation, they maintain a role. This is also something which to be understood clearly by every student. Key size is 21, it's irregular, basophilic, and large size, and nucleus is big, and from that is coming. That shows how beautiful is the first stage before the creation takes place. Totipotent or pluripotent is the first stage. Then come to the growth inducers are there, which play a very important role in formation of red blood cells. Growth and reproduction of different stem cells are controlled by multiple proteins called growth inducers. There are 4 major growth inducers. Interleukin 3 is one. This promotes growth and reproduction of virtually all types of committed stem cells. Very important. Whereas other induced growths are only specific types of cells which are required. Colonic stimulating factor 2, 1 and 7, they are the growth factors and hormones which play a very important role. Now we are going to see how this is manifested in the formation of new red cells as we proceed further. Now first stage of creation is 22 by 21. I have told you the pluripotent size is regular, size is 21 and volume is 21 into 21.7 is 700 cubic millimeter is the volume of a totipotent cell. Now please remember, 21 micron into 21 micron to 1.7 is equal to 900. There's a beautiful point to be observed by all the scientists of the world. Thanks to them we have, and this is the perfect model which I talk about. I'm not talking about disease models. This is perfect. Then cytoplasm is basophilic, a blue color. That's one thing. Then second, nucleus is large nucleus to start with in pluripotent cell. Hemoglobin is not there. Function is proliferation. Size increases to 21 microns from 21 is the first stage of creation, which is according to Divyank by and large. Now comes the second stage of development, is called the committed progenitor. Shape is irregular, size is 21 micron, cytoplasm is basophilic blue color, nucleus is 21 microns. That was large, now it's become 21 millimeter. Hemoglobin is not present, function is differentiation, size increases 22 micron from 21 is very clearly in committed progenitor cells for erythrocytes. Let's talk about that. Next comes the burst forming erythrocytes. Shape is irregular, size is 20 micron, from 21 to 22 to 20. This is how it goes. Then cytoplasm is basophilic blue color, nucleus is active mitosis. Function becomes differentiation and hormone is erythropoietin. In third stage, erythropoietin comes, which is produced in the kidneys as well as stomach for formation of red blood cells. Once that is clear, we can move on to the next stage, a fourth stage of development, which will be amazing by and large. Now come to the fourth stage of development. You can see the cell. You have seen the first cell, which is irregular. Now it's taking shape, but you can still see a blue nucleus there. Colony forming erythrocyte is the next stage. Now from 21 to 22 to 22 size has become to 18 micron, but shape is still irregular. You can see irregular shape. Cytoplasm is blue color. Nucleus is active mitosis. It started developing further and further. Again, if you look at the nucleus, mitosis also follows 21, 20, 22 stage. Will not go into detail. Function is differentiation. Hormone is erythropoietin. Also, the presence of vitamin B12 and folic acid comes to play a role in this particular stage for formation of earth. So that's the reason folic acid is absolutely essential. So is vitamin B12. So is erythropoietin. So hypoglycemia and hyponatremia, hypo pH also is not essential. We should maintain all the parameters as normal as otherwise to be perfectly healthy. That's one. Now come to the fifth stage of development is pronormoblast. Size is irregular again. Size is 16 from irregular shape to 16. 21 to 22, 20, 18, now 16. Cytoplasm is blue again, but the size has reduced. Nucleus is active mitosis. Function is differentiation. Hormones is erythropoietin, same B12 as well folic acid continue to play important role at this particular stage of fifth stage of development of pronormoblast also. Now come to the sixth stage. It's called the basophilic early normoblast. Now we have come to the normoblast stage, and it's basophilic blue color. You can see the blue color, but it's normoblast. It's not pronormoblast. It's not differentiation. It is going further to the further development. Shape is irregular, you can see. Size have reduced from 16 to 14 microns. Cytoplasm is basophilic and RNA formation is there because nucleus has started dividing to active mitosis. RNA started appearing. The nucleus is active mitosis again. Function is differentiation. Hormone is erythropoietin, and also there is a formation of ribosome synthesis, which play a very important role in producing red blood cells as we move on. Now there comes to the seventh stage of development, which is absolutely essential. And in that stage, I would say it is called polychromatic intermediate normoblast stage. Polychromatic means there are many colors, and it's in between early, intermediate and late. Shape is irregular, you can see. Micron size has reduced to 12 microns. Now shape is becoming more circular. Then cytoplasm is multiple colors. Nucleus is active mitosis stage. There is no nuclear. RNA can be seen. There is cell division stops because there is no nuclear. There is iron and copper which comes to play an important role again in the manufacturing of red blood cells. Because if you have red blood cells only, then we can talk of oxygen and pranayama. That is something which I want everybody to understand. These are the different ingredients which are required for perfect hemoglobin, perfect RBC, perfect oxygen. Then hemoglobin synthesis starts at this particular stage of 7th called polychromatic intermediate normoblast stage. So it's very clear, hemoglobin starts forming from this stage, not before that. Other process is going on, whether folic acid, B12, erythropoietin, iron, copper, etc. are playing a role. But real hemoglobin is formed at this particular stage. Then comes to the next stage of orthochromatic late normoblast stage. What was blue became multiple color. Now it's going to become red color. Shape will become more regular. Size will come down to 10 micron. Cytoplasm becomes red color. Nucleus, no active mitosis, no nuclei, cell division stops, and maximum hemoglobin is formed at this particular stage itself. That is the 8th stage, and this is what is a myeloid night stage again. All these things are taking place in bone marrow only. Now come to the next stage, which is 9th stage, where blood moves from bone marrow to general circulation. Let that be clear. The reticular site shape is regular, you can see it. Micron size has come down from 21 to 22 to 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10 and 8. There is more red color included because hemoglobin is almost full. Nucleus is not there, cell division stops, maximum hemoglobin is present, but there is fine reticulum still present. Because reticulum is present, it's called reticulocyte stage only. It's a 9th stage which has moved from bone marrow to the general circulation of blood. At that stage, you can see a presence of reticulocytes in normal blood picture also. Now come to the 10th stage, which is mature red blood cells. Very clear. Now shape from irregular 21 micron blue color, it has become to biconcave red color of 7 micron size. From 21 it has come down to 7 micron size. That is something to be observed very clearly. There is a division by 30 times. Cytoplasm is full red color. Nucleus, no active mitosis, no nuclei, cell division is stopped, maximum hemoglobin, full maturation. The volume becomes 90, which is from 900 to 90 cubic millimeter. 7 into 7 into 1.8 is a picture very, very clear. So we have seen certain changes from pluripotent, totipotent germ cells to mature red blood cells. The something which stands out very clearly, nucleus is reduced completely. That's one part which I want everybody to understand. This is what it is. Now, to sum it up, let's say 10 stages of red blood cells, pluripotent cells, irregular blue large size 21 microns, committee progenitor, irregular blue large nucleus of 22, burst forming irregular blue active mitosis 21 micron, colony forming E cells, circular blue active mitosis 18 micron, pro-normoblast, circular blue active mitosis 16 microgram, early normoblast, basophilic RNA differentiation 14 micron, intermediate normoblast, polychromatic non-mitosis 12 micron, late normoblast, orthochromatic, hemoglobin 10 micron, reticulocyte 8 micron, it is the same. You can see in the 10 stages. You can see the pictures also accordingly how they change. The most interesting part is size changes from 21 micron to 22 micron at the first stage. And then you have 10 stages. And then reduction from 21 to 7 is 3 times the trinity, which always clear. Volume of stem cell is 900 to start with. Volume of mature cells comes to 90, which is 1/10. Then shape changes from irregular to biconcave is something which stands out. Blue stem cells turn into red cells. Then each stem cell gives rise to 10,000 red blood cells. Duration red blood cell formation is 21 days and they last for 120 days. All these are coincidences of divine design, which is with Divyank. That is amazing by and large. Now, before we go to the hemoglobin, let me explain to you one of the dialogue I had in the class when we were talking about red blood cells being formed. And I still remember very clearly, it was one of the very interesting things which I have not put the picture, but I would explain now what happened in the class, which was after the preliminary interactive design, lasted almost for 45 minutes. The question raised by one of the question is, are the mature red blood cells living cells? Can they living cells? And my answer was immediately, mature red blood cells are not living cells, they are living cells. They can perform all the functions, but they cannot reproduce. Since reproduction is the core of a living cell, so without procreation, without forming a new cells, you cannot call them living cell. Mature red blood cells cannot form, whereas pluripotent, totipotent are living cells. That was one part. Second thing, is it because the nucleus is lost in the process, that is reason it is not able to reproduce? My immediate answer to that boy was, all that, nucleus has nothing to do with making a living cell as it is. Now let's understand the concept very clearly. It is not the nucleus which is responsible for first cell of division. They carry the material for building blocks of proteins and genetic structure. That is there in nucleus. You have RNA, you have DNA, you have all the things. You can produce amino acids, proteins and other building blocks, but not for division. Then he said, can you give an example? I said, example is very clear. You take a neuron cells. There are 100 billion neuron cells. They can produce 20,000 memory synapses. But they are not living cells because they cannot produce a new cells. They cannot produce a new cells because the memory has to be maintained for rest of your life. If you're going to maintain, that will be lost in the process. So neurons cannot afford to do that. But neurons have nucleus because neurons need for normal supply of requirements for the neuron cells by nucleus itself. It's very powerful. It is able to give all what is neurons is required, and let's take it that particular part. But then the question is, if neuron cells nucleus is not dividing, it cannot multiply, then how the division takes place? It's an amazing question and it's a fantastic. I am very glad that you have come to ask a question which makes us to diverge into a situation which is good for the entire world per se. But I don't think this kind of discussion normally go in a class where we have phenomenal knowledge. And then I said, it is centrosome which is part of very close to nucleus of the cell itself. Let's say cell is made of three parts under a compound microscope. You have a cell membrane which is made of 7 parts. You have a cytoplasm which has 7 organelles, and you have a nucleus which has got 7 parts including a centrosome, which is nothing but 2 centrioles put together. 2 centrioles are put together there for effective division. At the time of first stage of creation, it is the centrosome which splits into 2, moves to the opposite sides, and material puts together, and you can see wonders by it. I have shown it again and again. You can go back and see that. But now I am explaining that, and it is centrosome which gets into centriole, which makes 21 parts into 22 parts, which is the first stage of creation. This is where Divyank plays very important role. You haven't seen that kind of connectivity yet. You have seen a solar system. Earth is made of 7 parts. Antariksh is made of 7 parts. Heavens are 7, 21 parts. To go beyond, you take the 22nd step. Similarly, RBC is also the same process. And similarly, in first stage of creation, every living cell is the same story. Now, that is the kind of knowledge we should have. We should not have a confused knowledge, each student giving his own thing and there is no connectivity at all. That's where Akhandata is very clear, that we should have uniform knowledge for every child throughout the world without any confusion whatsoever. I think that by and large, for the first time in the history of mankind, Akhand Vidyashram is able to do it. I am glad that I am a part of that. This is my experience and I find it amazing. and Divyank is given by me for the first time in 2015. Thanks to divinity, thanks to all the scientists, thanks to everybody. They had made me think rationally and find impeccable wisdom and give it to the world. Now, with that background, we come to now hemoglobin, science of oxygen absorption, formation of hemoglobin and thereafter. Now I'm going to come there, and the hemoglobin is also formed in 10 stages only. As I've been saying very clearly, there are 10 stages in anatomy, there are 10 stages in biochemistry, there are 10 stages in physiology, 10 chemistry in psychology. Everywhere is a 10, 10, 10. So how hemoglobin is formed in 10 stages? You have seen succinyl CoA plus glycine is what it starts with, and how slowly and steadily it goes to different stages to formally make heme and globin. Heme and globin put together to form hemoglobin. And this is also something which I would like to make it very clear. Three elemental things do not play. It has to be ferrous sulfate, not a ferric ion. Ferric ammonium citrate has to be converted into ferrous form only. The one used ferrous is ferrous only, not ferric. And that form helps in the form of heme. Heme plus globin gives a hemoglobin. This is something in 10 stages which I want every child to know. If you know this, you are perfectly good student with impeccable wisdom, and that is my first objective in the universe. Now comes oxygen and hemoglobin is formed. Erythropoietin is formed in the kidneys, as I told you, because kidneys plays very important role in maintaining our hemoglobin, RBCs and homeostasis by and large. Now hemopoietic stem cells play a very important role in forming proerythroblasts, red blood cells, tissue oxygenation. This is connected with erythropoietin only. When there is a decrease, factors that decrease oxygenation are the low blood volume, anemia, low hemoglobin, poor blood flow, and pulmonary diseases are the responsible which decrease oxygenation. When oxygenation comes down, there is hypoxia. Then that leads to the formation of erythropoietin by the kidneys, and then they produce the whole process of hemopoietic cells into the picture. So hypoglycemia is one of the triggering factors for hemoglobin synthesis. If oxygen is maintained, hemoglobin will be. When oxygen comes down, then hormone has to be. That's why anemia can be very worse. So erythropoietin plays an important role, is what I am trying to explain in this particular concept. Then this particular stage takes place in third stage of development, which is formation. Burst forming erythrocytes, irregular 20 size, and differentiation, and hormone is erythropoietin, which I am again saying it's a third stage. Erythropoietin comes to play a role so that RBCs are formed very healthy otherwise. Now hemoglobin formation is into 10 stages, as you can see right on the picture, from one to the last, but it's the same thing which goes into cell formation. And of course the size of heme, you can see, then seam of hemoglobin is again made of 4 particles, 4 hemoglobins. That has to be kept in mind, and they are the one which help in absorption of oxygen, and oxygen absorption will go up depending upon 4 hemes. As we go further and further, absorption is more. Once that is understood, I think we are very clear how we are going to proceed with further development thereafter. Now you can see the hemoglobin on top. Oxygen is getting more oxygen, more oxygen, more oxygen. In the process, one hemoglobin, 2, 3, 4, you can see an increase. And that is what you can see in the down also. When the carbon dioxide is less, a normal is this. That picture is very clear. Hemoglobin oxygen affinity goes. If it is high, is 18 millimeter. Intermediate is 26 millimeter, and low is 30 millimeter. You can see very clearly. And there also you can see the bottom part that is more or less like Divyank only. Hemoglobin oxygen concentration on this side, and how partial pressure oxygen takes place. And once this is understood from 0 to 100, and right in the middle you can see the normal level which flows. If pH increases, carbon dioxide comes down, temperature comes down. But if pH comes down, carbon dioxide goes, temperature goes, you go towards full, and less pH is less. That is also something very clear for every student to understand. This picture of hemoglobin oxygen saturation and partial pressure of oxygen given in this. So pH plays very important role in the whole process. Then come to the question of oxygen dissociation curve also has to be understood. Left shift decrease temperature, as I told you in the beginning, also decrease 2-3 dpH. The decreased hemoglobin, decreased carbon dioxide is shift towards the left. With the right more increase, that goes to the right side. With the right in the middle you can see the S curve which gives it very clearly. As the pH depends, and you can go to 100% partial pressure. And once this is understood, I think you are very clear how you could be healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. That's one. Now comes to question of pranayama. How breathing techniques are absolutely essential. There is a lot of misconception with respect to pranayama which are part of Akhand Yoga, part of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. There are certain exercises which really help you to absorb oxygen from the atmosphere very clearly. And having understood that very clearly, how it helps you to clear carbon dioxide ratio, I have already spoken about it. But what are the different types of pranayams which play a very important role in making us healthy, wealthy, wise and, as I told you, without oxygen we are dead and gone. You need oxygen, we need glucose, we need blood pressure, we need all the things which are 10 biophysical parameters including temperature and pH to be maintained, and pranayama helps a role in making perfect physical health and mental health as well as breathing health. There are three sides. Yogasana, pranayama and meditation work together in one part to make us complete human beings as such. Once that is understood, I think we should have no problem in understanding how to go about it systematically. Now, first breathing exercise which comes to my mind, which I have always been doing. Take a deep breath and take it down thing, which is called abdominal breathing. That means your tummy is coming out, but oxygen has gone up to the pelvic level. That should be the first step you should learn on the sectional breathing exercise. Take deep breaths, let abdomen go to down and abdomen should come up. That's first part. Second thing is take more breath, let it come to the chest level. That is thoracic breathing. Then go take more further, it will go to clavicular level. And then you have that is a total breathing which you should do very well every time. Abdominal to thoracic to clavicular to complete. And in the process, entire respiratory system can be active and alive for rest of the life. And that is what is very, very important. Now, breathing balancing technique is something which I am very, very clear has to be there. But here is one concept which I want to bring it to clear. The divine design is we breathe through both the nostrils. But when we start from the left nostril, then move on to the center, move on to the right side, and from right side we go to center and go to the their whole cycle of breathe in. So the nostril left to right, right to left is 90 minutes, and that is what is Rahu column. And that is why you have 8 stages in 12 hours. So this is 90-minute cycle which is absolutely essential, and you see from right to right. That's the reason Ida and Pingala nadis are left and right with sympathetic. They do not work on one side completely. It's so how beautiful design is. And both brain and Ida nadi is left side and Pingala nadi is the right side. Once that is understood, that means your breathing is to active Ida and Pingala simultaneously. Once both the nostrils are open, we breathe effortlessly. We are more likely to become. If any block in the nostril, whether you have cold, you have blocks, could come in the way of you making optimum use of oxygen by and large. Next is empty the lungs completely. First thing, empty completely. Then close the right nostril and breathe through the left nostril slowly, steadily, as deep as possible. Close the left nostril and absorb oxygen and then throw out through the right nostril, exhale completely. Then breathe in through the right nostril fully, hold for a while for oxygen consumption, but not retention. Retention by and large I am not very favorable. It should normally, and then exhale carbon dioxide fully from the right side. This process of same thing should go on as many times as you feel comfortable with. That is the right breathing exercise for everyone in the world. No breathing, but slowly left to right, right to left, and make sure that all the things after sectional breathing you do this. Entire lungs will be clean, fresh, and don't smoke, don't do anything which can produce. And you can remain young as long as you are doing pranayama regularly throughout your life. Your voice will be powerful, your thinking will be good, your brain will be intelligent, and you will have all the power which you are looking forward to. Now to come to the Bhastrika. Bhastrika is with the lower abdomen. Then purification helps purification of abdomen and lower chakras. It should be done as follows. Sit in a comfortable position, preferably Padmasana or Vajrasana. Close the mouth. Connect tongue with the palate, Khicheri Mudra. Khicheri helps connect the lower chakras with higher chakras. Close the eyes and connect to the abdomen muscles with force. Collect them, close it. And then let the flow in and out of lungs very clearly, very fast as possible. Repeat the exercise for 20 minutes. As a result, your lower abdomen will be complete. You will have no problem whatsoever. That is required, and that particular exercise I do regularly. Everybody should do it to keep yourself very active on lower chakras and abdomen. Then Kapalabhati is the head. Kapal means skull. This pranayama helps clean the head, upper chakras, lungs by and large. The process should be sit in any comfortable position like Padmasana or Yogasana or Vajrasana. Close the eyes, close the mouth, inhale in deeply through the nose, exhale the force through the nostrils, making hissing sounds. Continue in many times as possible. Relax for some time, then repeat again for 7 times more times depending upon your capacity. And there are certain special mudras and techniques also to be learnt for experts which can help you to spread oxygen to every part of the body. Once that is understood, I can tell you your brain will be very active, higher chakras will be active, you will be able to experience all the 10 chakras by and large. Lower chakra and so Kapalabhati, Bhastrika, along with rest of things important. Now let's move to the next stage of pranayama, Shitli. Once you do these processes regularly, your body temperature is going to go up. And too much of body temperature is also not very conducive. Just marginal increase to keep your blood pressure normal, everything is normal is required. But too much could be dangerous. So you should do Shitli in the process. With this process, excess heat produced by other techniques can be eliminated. Too much of heat is not good for physical health system in the initial stages of meditation. Maybe later it could be helpful. This breathing technique is done as follows. Sit in any comfortable yogi position like Padmasana, Vajrasana or Siddhasana or Sukhasana. Inhale in through the nose. Fold the tongue in the mouth. Make a small opening in the mouth. This is something to be kept. And then exhale through the mouth as many times as possible and empty the lungs completely. Repeat the process as many times as possible, and that is what Shitli means, making it cool. I am sure everybody understands now how this process is done step by step to bring down the body temperature from high level to the normal level and be comfortable in the process. Now Surya Veda. Sit in Padmasana or close both the eyes and left nostril. Slowly inhale through the right nostril. Then sit Z. Retain the breath by firmly pressing the chin against the chest, Jalandhara Bundha. Hold the breath for comfortable period only, not for a long time. I don't want hold for a long time because that could disturb your Kundalini activation. Then release it fully, repeat as desired. That is definitely going to circulate things in much better way and help you to lead a super conscious, intelligent being thereafter. Now, Ujjayi is something which is very, very important. Ujjayi means sit in Padmasana, close the mouth, inhale slowly through both the nostrils first, retain the breath for a comfortable period, and then exhale through the left nostril by closing the nostril with right thumb. This practice removes the heat from the head. Concentrate on tip of the nose while breathing. Helps in increasing concentration power as well as opening up the clairvoyance faculty. Divya Drishti. The pranayam given above are just the initial techniques, and special techniques for different stages of meditation have to be learnt in process, and everything should be done slowly and steadily over a period, not in one lot at any given stage. Under the supervision of an expert is better. We can do wonders in time and space if we learn that step by step over a period thing. Now, let's sum it up as far as pranayama is concerned. It should make you use air and oxygen more, aerobic exercise. Aerobic exercise, again, something which at this stage I will tell you. When you do aerobic exercise where oxygen is used, it is only 61.8% will be oxygen used. Beyond that, it does not happen. Then aerobic goes into anaerobic stage. Aerobic will produce from glucose to pyruvic acid. Anaerobic will produce lactic acid. But once you understand that there is a transition from aerobic to anaerobic in the process as the speed goes up, as the concentration goes up. That is also something which I want everybody to understand. The line between aerobic and anaerobic depends very thin. But to 61% it will be aerobic, and after that it will be anaerobic. There is no oxygen use. Once that is understood, we can design exercises in such a way that we are as much into aerobic oxygen consumption as possible, whereas other anaerobic are more for body building. This is for healthy as such. That's one part. Now, bringing it on to the last picture, let me tell you one thing very clearly from my side. Ida and Pingla play a very important role with the nostrils, and also concentration in Muladhara chakra in pelvic. So entire nervous system, entire endocrine system, entire autonomic nervous system, entire 100 trillion cells, they should vibrate with oxygen, glucose, water and other things in concentration. Only in that form we will be perfectly healthy, wealth and happy life. Otherwise we will have a difficulties of different nature by and large. If you want to avoid, you should learn the art of pranayama very clearly, provided you understand the whole respiratory system A to Z completely the way I have explained. Once you understand that, Ida and Pingla understood, and middle stage when it passes through Sushumna Nadi, that is the time when Ojas has to be converted into Tejas. It has to go into Vani Nadi, Chandra Nadi, Surya Nadi, Brahma Nadi to Vaikunt to make things perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. And that's the reason Patanjali also talks about Yam, the virtues, Niyam, the disciplines, Yogasanas, Pranayam, and then go to the meditation. Similarly, Akhand Yoga also gives a clear without the base of Yam and Niyam and Yogasana, Pranayam, and Pratyahara and Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi to Kundalini, other thing, you cannot make optimum use of human life and be in tune with universal consciousness. And from that point, let me make it very, very clear. Once you learn theory of all the things from A to Z, step by step, and very clear on the whole. Now let's sum up the whole thing which I have said. The prime function of respiratory system is absorption of oxygen from atmosphere fully, with Divyank ratio, then expulsion of 61.803% of carbon dioxide, remaining is maintained for pH of acidity and alkalinity, and if that is maintained, we breathe fully, lungs will be function, and you take the test of lung functions and you should be as perfect as when you are 21, even at 50, 60, 70, 80. Take it from me that it is an asset of the highest order. I think this is more than enough for the day to say. I think I have explained all what I have experienced, what I have done, and I think it is wonderful talking to you. Thank you very much.